How does it record? There we go. There we go. Not as smooth as our normal, but it is what it is. What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Ronimus Prime with my cohort in crime, Alan Lynch, and we have a special guest today, Mr. Owen Ratliff. How are you doing today, everybody?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
All righty, all righty. So, to kick off my opening monologue, let me look at my notes here real quick. You guys can't see them. So, my opening monologue is much ado about Milestone. We all know that the Dakota incident came out, and we've kind of talked about it before, about that whole 100,000 issue challenge and everything. But something me and my co hosts were just thinking about, and the reason why I said much ado about Milestone, because one of the things me and Alan were talking about was how does Milestone now fit into the greater DC landscape? We won't talk long about this, but we're just really trying to figure out, like, how do you fit them into the DC landscape as a whole? What's your thoughts on that, Alan?
It should be interesting going forward because this won't be the first time that DC has merged universes. And one of the things that can happen would be that the characters could end up getting morphed in and they kind of just lose their essence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They could just kind of fade into the background. More than likely, you will see Static because Static is the most popular character. You may see some Icon, you may see some Rocket, and then you have to worry about characters that are basically similar characters to DC characters. And
So,
that's you.
okay, my apologies, man. So, what Alan is kind of describing is something we talked about. Like, when you merge universes, you have to figure out what is usable versus what is duplicate. And then later on, you can also figure out what is salvageable. So, like he mentioned, usable right off the bat, Static. My opinion, Static is, if they are truly serious about bringing Milestone into the DC proper, Static is going to fill that niche role that Miles Morales fills. Like, even though Static is older, that's where they're really going to target Static, is what Miles Morales is right now. Rocket, I believe, will be a close second. And Icon, not Icon, but what is it? Is it Icon or Hardware? I think Hardware will probably be like that third place. For like a Marvel level of equivalency, Static is Miles, Rocket will be Spider Gwen or Ghost Spider, whatever she is right now, and Hardware will probably be something like Venom. Then everything else is probably duplicate. And then from the duplicates, depending on how the story goes, they'll try to figure out what's salvageable, because you can always rework things. You can always bring things back and use it in a new way. Like Winter Soldier, like Bucky Barnes, like for years, Bucky was dead. Sometimes they brought Bucky back as an android or a weird clone. And then Ed Brubaker in the mid 2000s figured out a way to bring Bucky back and make him something new, make him a character that stands on his own, to where he's got a TV show and been in movies,
Yeah.
So
So,
that's something,
what are your thoughts on it? Have you been following the whole thing, Owen, about the merger and stuff?
Just a little bit I have, yeah, how they bring, and I saw a lot of controversy on it's been all through the comic industry,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, for us, if you saw our last show, like I said, we didn't want the book to fail. I mean, it came out. Then the next week, which I think would be this week, it had a foil cover print come out, and then I think it's going to an actual second print.
Second printing now. Yeah. So which is good. Which is good. So,
Which is good. But like I told people, like I said on our last show, that's great. And then if the characters do get series, it's show up for issues 1 through 6. And then not just 1 through 6, but 7 through 12. And then not just 7 through 12, it's 13 through 18, 19 through 24, because story arcs are usually 6 issues, right? That shows DC that it's sustainable. You don't want it to be like a church revival where it feels great during that Jubilee week, but then what do you do the week after that and the week after that when that high dissipates? You want to be able to keep it sustainable. Then something else me and Alan were thinking about was just outside of like figuring out what is usable versus duplicate, and then outside of like figuring out what is duplicate, what is then salvageable, it's how do you make Milestone unique and modern for the reader without constantly retreading the past? Because I think me and a bunch of other people, like when they brought Milestone back a couple of years ago and you read those trades, it's like, oh, okay, this is just an updated version of what they did in 93. Like Icon and Rocket is like, oh, okay, all they did was modernize everything they did in 93. They may have added some new stuff, but how do you make Milestone unique?
So that would be up to the writers if they have the vision to write fresh and new exciting stories that can push the universe forward. I would like to see them not retread on the old storylines.
Yeah,
I kind of get if there's anything in comic books that I kind of get very, very tired of is when something constantly reboots and nothing changes.
Yeah.
I could live with a bad change because a person tried something different versus playing it safe and let's redo the exact same story arcs constantly, right? So it would be up to the writers who they choose for the job, who they put on, the characters that they decide to go with. And there's a lot of pressure on the writers because people can only buy a book for so long with blind support without it being something they actually enjoy. You know what I mean? So they have to be, I don't buy things just to support. I don't have that sort of disposable cash. They have to enjoy it. They have to be good. You know what I mean? So that's something that's very important.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about like milestones, like social justice awareness, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But like you said, Alan, you can't constantly keep retreading that. You can't constantly keep going back to that well. You have to find new ways to implement that. You don't got to give me all of that in the first 6 issues. You can spread things out, but you gotta like I said with the example of Ed Brubaker and Bucky, you got to figure out a new way. If you're gonna bring that back, figure out a new way to do it. And that was a new and inventive way to do that. So I fully agree. Because other than that, like, why am I reading like All-Star Superman, right? Grant Morrison challenged himself because he said everybody knows Superman's origin. So I don't need to go back in detail. I don't need to dedicate an issue to this. He told Superman's origin on the first page in 4, I believe it was 4 panels. He said, keep it simple. He said, everybody knows this. And then if you wanted to fast forward to a more modern example, look at what they did with his with Krypton and everything in Absolute Universe. Planet still explodes, but now the circumstances and everything are different. So they figured out a new way to do it. And then to one of your points, like DC's New 52, what would be the purpose in destroying your universe only to go back and redo everything the exact same way? Why? You could have just left it the same. And that was some of the problem that Marvel had, like with Secret Wars. We destroyed the universe. Okay. Then when you brought it back, it was the same 616, just like 8 months in the future or whatever. The only thing you really used it for was to fold Miles Morales into the regular Marvel universe and like 1 or 2 other characters, like maybe like 3 or 4 other characters. No, like 5. Because his mom, his dad, Genki, one of the girls that can blow shit up, like, little stuff like that. So it was like, why do a soft reboot? Like, you didn't really need to destroy all the worlds to do that. There was probably other ways you could have done that. But those are just some of the things me and Alan were thinking about when it comes to that. Other than that, like, there's really not much else to talk about because we're kind of on the tail end of it. The other thing I wanted to talk about is promo in Secret Society of Black Comics. I want people to understand we don't hate promo. Like, we get you have to have an outlet, to promote your book. But what we want you guys to understand is that as admins, a lot of what we see are promo posts. And it's like we're doing everything we can to keep the group from becoming a Kickstarter graveyard. A place where you just drop your Kickstarter off, kind of like, and I had an op-ed piece that I did a little bit ago, where I likened it to like people dropping their kids off at grandma's house, and that's it. You know, we're trying to do something different, offer something different. I know people got mad at us when we stopped doing promo, but it's like, if y'all, there's plenty of groups that have 5, 6, 7, 8 times the members we do, and they're a Kickstarter graveyard. They are the elephant graveyard of Kickstarters. Everybody just goes there and drops that off, and it's like, if everybody's doing it, you're diluting your pool. There's no way everybody can look at all those things. You know, they're just going to scroll right past them. So we don't hate promo, but we just want you to understand, whereas you, the creator, you're plugging to 6, 7, 8, 9 groups. We as admins, we're getting 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 30 promo posts. And that's the only engagement. It has to be a synergy.
It has to be balanced. Yeah, it has to be balanced. We probably relook at probably doing things like maybe featuring certain creators a week. But one thing we wanted to do was, if you do have a Kickstarter and you want us to talk about it on the podcast, hit up me or Ron in the private message.
Yeah, do the private message. Don't do it in the group.
And we will look at your Kickstarter, and we probably will go through it on the podcast. So we're not against it, but in terms of within the group, it will, as you said, it becomes a place where you just see posts with no engagement. And we're trying to keep the engagement and the conversations going.
Yeah, I mean, we want you guys to understand, like, if you only saw what we get promo posts for stuff, it's not even comic book related. We get we got a promo post talking about these rappers are whack. What I'm like, did y'all read what this was about? You know, like, come on, what the hell, bro? And that's all people think. And so it's something that I've been wanting to like ask people, like, and I'll ask you on, like, what do you think Black comic book groups are for? Like, what, like, part of our purpose is? Because, like I said, man, we get a lot of promo posts, and then people always like, we need safe spaces, but it's like, all you guys do is come and you just want to promote your stuff. But it's like, you got to look at.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But,
no, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Okay, but you know, okay, so it's funny. So with the whole Kickstarter thing, so 10 years ago, I did the Kickstarter for my 30-minute proof of concept, and I did $40,000 in 6 days. Okay, when I just came back into this whole Kickstarter thing with this comic book, I couldn't believe how saturated it was now. And
give me hey guys, excuse me, I don't mean to cut you off. Give me just a second. I'm gonna be right back. I just wanted to.
Yeah, you can do.
Okay. Yeah. So you know, so we're not. Are we still on? Are we on?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, so when I
yes, you guys are still on.
Oh, okay. Oh well, I'm sorry because I was getting ready to talk about something else. Okay.
No, you can continue.
So okay. So what I noticed was it was like 4 times the Kickstarter campaigns now, and now I really see how hard it is, really like super hard now to do that. So I could kind of see why people are doing that now. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I mean, it was like night and day just coming back doing this campaign that I'm working on right now.
You said you did your first campaign when in 2012?
Yeah, 26. No, 16.
2016, right?
Yeah, 2016, and it was fairly easy. Like I said,
yeah, Kickstarter was early Kickstarter. When it came to stuff, it was a different beast. It was a different beast. It was a different thing. It wasn't like what it is now.
No, it was easier. It was easier.
Yeah, and I remember. Yeah, I can remember even when it came to comic books, people were just putting up proof of concept. They weren't putting up pages. They were just like, I want to make a comic book about this guy, this story. I don't have an artist. I don't know what it looks like. Give me some money. And people was doing it. You know what I mean? And that was it. And somewhere along the line, I just said with the competition, with the people poisoning the well, because there were a lot of people who weren't
not finished in their projects too.
Yeah. And that kind of changed things. So it caused people to then have to show a little bit more effort that they were doing what they wanted to do, that kind of thing. So yes, so there is that competition right now to spread your Kickstarter seed as far and as wide as you possibly can, because as you said, there's so much competition to get these eyes on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think also, and this is something me and another friend of mine we talk about, especially with Black indie comics. Like, you go back, well, we're in 2026, but let's say you go back 2019, 2020, 2021, you had that, or 20, let's go back to like 2018. You had this like Black Panther social justice wave where it was like support Black, support Black, support Black. And now that wave is kind of dissipated and people are more discerning with their dollars. Because, I mean, we live in the U.S. and we done started another war. You know,
that's a whole new different.
That's a whole different beast. Alan, you are blessed to be in Barbados, probably.
And you know, that's affecting the economy now. I mean, because I can feel it now, how with the gas going up and everything, I can feel the squeeze now.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I'll just say this. This is where is the outrage for this war? And because we have a Republican in office, we had a Democrat in office. People got mad at Biden for helping Ukraine. People don't realize that caused inflation. Now, how does that relate to this? Well, it's inflation. So it caused everything to go up. So that also affects people's disposable income. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, here we are 2 years later, we're in another one, and it's causing things to go up. That's also going to affect people's dollars. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, so you know that wave of that just support Black now, you know, people are more discerning, and it's probably going to get even harder with Kickstarters, and people are going to more so back projects that they truly believe in. I mean, you see it in various groups now where people are questioning. People are like, "Where's this at? Where's that at?" You know, they're. It's no longer kind of like the Roaring 20s. We're all old. Well, I imagine we're all over 40. We all look good, you know. So we all were taught about like the Roaring 20s and how the champagne was flowing and everything until the stock market crashed in 1929, you know, and sent people into a dark age. And now you're kind of in a similar thing. Like during that Black Panther social justice wave, you throw up a Black comic book Kickstarter, it's funded, and that lasted for a while. But now we're not in that time. Nope. And so, you know, the game has changed. Or if you really want to say, as like with the comic book collecting side of it, there's a course correction. You know, you look at collectible comics, there's been a course correction. A lot of issues have gone down in value, not because they suck, but just because that high is over. You know, Ultimate Fallout, I mentioned Miles Morales. Ultimate Fallout is one that has dropped dramatically, you know, so. But
to go back to the question though, what does for the Owen, what does Black comic group, what do you see it as, or what do you think it should be for creators?
You know, like you said, we should engage more, you know, like asking, you know, how do you like, you know, my book, or how do you like this? But like I said, and I'll go back to the Kickstarter, man, it has literally put us at a point where, you know, because nobody don't have a lot of money, Kickstarter is kind of like the only refuge. So everybody just feels that they have to. And then also, to me, and me and Frederick was talking about this, I think creators, they don't take enough time to do the marketing the right way. Like say, I want to do a Kickstarter. So in a month they launch, and then it don't, you know, like I've been working on my Kickstarter like for the last 8 months, and I'm not in a rush. I have almost 700 followers right now. I want to get to 1,000. You see what I'm saying? I'm just taking my time because it's a bit, you know, I'm a businessman, you know, but I just think everybody's just rushing to launch to fail.
Yeah, and they rush, and then like I said, they don't. Like I said, people got mad at us when we stopped promo, but it's like as a group to grow, we just can't have that. So I had another point, but I want to share some things, like kind of some of the other things that we do. So I don't know. I didn't put up this. I put up the post. and showed you guys off camera, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of like some of the things that we're offering is things like this right here. This is a thought post that I did. Hopefully you guys can see it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just this is like some of the stuff that I like to ask. This one has fairly decent engagement on it, but these are some of the things that we're trying to ask. So I basically say, since a hero is only as good as their villain, which is true, they're only as good as their villain. What makes or drives a good villain? Is it hatred of society, humanity, a situation, the protagonist itself, etc.? What do you think makes a great villain? And these are some of the things that like we want people to understand. We're trying to thought posts, op-ed pieces. We do reviews. We do that. But like this is just some of the other stuff, just so that we're not like every other group. But since I got it up here, we could talk about it just real quick. What do you guys think makes a good villain, or what drives a great villain?
Depends on the genre. So usually there's villains and then there's antagonists, which aren't usually the same thing. The person that's a villain usually is a bad guy. So let's say the villain is the antagonist. He has to be, for me, when I'm going to create this character, he has to be designed in a way that the audience believes that he can win. Because if you create a villain for a story for a superhero, but the audience cannot see them one up in the hero, it's what is the point? It's it's like when you see something, you see it all the time sometimes, where a character can do so many things, and then when he's presented with this antagonist, you're like, this is nothing. This is going to be a wash. So in terms of that, the villain has to be formidable, and in terms of storytelling, the story should be able to be flipped the other way around from his point of view and still be a story. So a point would be Thanos. The Thanos Avengers series, those last two, the second to last movie, which would have been Infinity War. You could have flipped that, and that would have been Thanos' story. That would have been Thanos' movie. He was the one that had the agency. He was the one that, it could be told from his point of view. So that's a good villain.
Yeah, Alan. This is why I keep you on our non-existent payroll. This is why you make all of the big $0, because I hadn't thought about. You're right. The villain is not always the antagonist. It's not. That actually got me thinking. That's one of those little jewels. You get a $0 raise. Yeah, that actually got me. That really got me.
Yeah. So thinking. You can have stories where you have a villain, right, and an antagonist, and the antagonist is the antagonist to the hero. So basically, two of them could be trying to stop the villain, but the villain is just a set piece within the story, right? So all of these things, I try to think of something like that. I'll give you an example. Mission Impossible Fallout. You had the Henry Cavill character was the antagonist to the Ethan Hunt character, right? Mission Impossible. But they were also trying to fight a common bad guy, right? But two of them were at odds. So there was a little bit of shenanigans and stuff. But those are the things that,
But in that movie, Henry Cavill was a bad guy. He was.
He was a bad guy, but technically he was. The organization that he was in wasn't supposedly bad. You understand? So he was just the antagonist. There's other movies. If I wasn't on the spot, I could kind of tell you some other things.
I think when you brought that up, I was thinking Cloverfield. That movie not only just disappointed me, but Cloverfield. Like, actually, I don't even think Cloverfield has a villain in it, because that alien thing. Maybe the alien thing is like the little villain, because he's the antagonist.
Yeah, they're just the antagonist. Yeah. They're just the antagonist. They're technically not the
think
villain.
so? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then what would be the villain of that story? Or is it just a pure
You don't
protagonist
have to
and
have
antagonist?
it's just usually you don't need a villain. A villain, as I said, the villain is a person who is doing something bad. The antagonist, protagonist are the two people who are opposed to one another. So if you have a comic book about two people trying to win the Tour de France, one's the protagonist, one's the antagonist. The antagonist, once he doesn't cheat, lie, or steal, he's not a villain. If he does those things to win the race, he's a villain. But if he's just as honest as the other guy, it's just an antagonist protagonist story.
Okay. I hadn't thought of it like that. At least I didn't think of. Okay, let me rephrase that. I understand those things. I just didn't think of that when I made this question. I was thinking in terms of just villainy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in normal circumstances, I would realize that an antagonist is not necessarily a villain.
A villain. Yeah. But the villain,
just like a hero is not always necessarily this great guy. They just did something heroic in that moment.
Right.
So, but
it's a great piece, a great thought piece.
You got any thoughts on that, Owen?
Yeah, so like you said, what makes a good villain. So, like when I was doing Black Salt, so Kylie, the villain, he was like, okay, so we growing up in the Shaolin Temple. Why do we have to use it for good? Shaolin is all good and everything. He thought he wanted to use that skills to bring the world to their knees, so he just was a bad seed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I kind of started to create his character.
Yeah, that's a what I could go. So there's something that we've kind of lost now in writing and stories and stuff is when we were younger, there was a villain and he was like, I want to take over the world and I want to kill everybody. The villains were bad people, right? But then as things changed, they kind of changed them up. So it was a case like, you killed my whole family. No, I want to kill your family. So then you kind of understood the motivation of the villain. And it has gone to more and more case back to Thanos, where there were people who were saying, Thanos was right. You know what I mean? Or Killmonger. People would say, because yes, as twisted it was, but we've kind of changed where we don't have that pure villain like we used to have back in the day. That this guy's a bad seed.
Yeah, he's just bad. Now,
he's just bad.
Woke? Do you think this woke stuff that's going on in the whole creative verse is kind of contributing a little bit to that?
I think yes, in terms of the way how society has changed. Society has changed. One of the hard things to be a creator, even down to picking a villain, is a lot of villains or people who you would want to write in a villainous role, you just can't, or you have to be very careful. Because I always joke with people and say, well, if you're going to do a comic book, the easiest villain to put is a Nazi zombie, because nobody likes Nazi zombies. But you get what I'm saying? You can't have this set of people, you can't have, and it does make your writing a little bit more creative, because you have to weave a better story, because you just cannot just say these people are bad. You can't just say these people are good. But it is a bit of society norms, changes, some for the good, some for the bad. There are a lot of things that we're a lot more sensitive about now that to me is like, in my day, we weren't so thin-skinned, and there's a lot of things that are better for it, because it's like, yeah, that's good because we actually treated these set of people like crap, or this set of people a certain way. So if you one of the things that I always go back and you talk about pretty good, if you go back and you watch an old James Bond movie, the way how they treat women in a old James Bond film could not fly today.
Oh,
And
God,
it's for
here's the rabbit hole. So
Yeah.
I do want to expound on what you said, but let's talk James Bond a little bit. I know, but this is a black comic book thing. I don't give a shit. I like James Bond. Fuck you.
Yeah.
So we could go with was it Goldfinger? Yeah, it's Goldfinger.
Yeah.
He basically raped that woman in that movie, or raped, whatever. Please don't cancel me, YouTube. But if you go back and look at that scene, that's an example of what Alan is talking about. There, you couldn't do that in today's day.
And for the better, because things have changed, and that's not a positive image. But then there's other things where, like, as I said, you can't just have a pure bad guy. You know, there are people like, and there are pure, and the last couple of months, years have kind of shown us that we actually have larger than life villains in reality than any Hollywood can make. We literally had a James Bond villain living among us a couple of years with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah,
that's a private island billionaire.
There used to be this thing of like, what is it? Art imitating life.
Yeah,
life is now imitating art, and that's crazy because we, especially in the Black community, we talk about, like, when we look at like YNs and whatnot. We're like, there was a time where the art was imitating life because, you know, artists were talking about things that they witnessed or they were a part of when they grow up. Now it seems to be going the other way. You know, in certain places, it looks like shows that were fictional, like The Wire takes place in Baltimore. And I know people from Baltimore, and they're like, it's becoming more like The Wire than it was when The Wire was out. It's like, y'all don't realize The Wire was telling kind of influenced by like real life stories. Now y'all are doing the stuff that you see on TV. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I said, we're sticking with James Bond, and, you know, he's had to topple like crazed world leaders, and look at what we have in the world. You know what I mean? It's.
I mean, look at Putin right now. That's a villain. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Kim Jong, whichever one is in charge. You look at that. I mean, this shit is real. But something else we wanted to say is that, you know, Alan, like you said, we've evolved in our thinking, and as we look at certain people that started out as pure villains, when we looked at their rationale and their motivation, it's like, you're right, they're not pure villains. That's why a lot of them have turned into anti-heroes, because, like, wait a minute, is Harley Quinn really all that bad? And you start to look like, no, here's where she was manipulated, here's where she was abused. The same with Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy has become a bit of an anti-hero that probably still leans more towards certain types of villainy, but not.
I think with comics is a little different. Comics has such a long enough timeline, right, that any hero can morph to any direction, and we have this ability to forget their past. So what I would say is that when the original comic book villains and heroes were created, especially we were talking about this before, they were set in a way where this person is bad, they can't win, this has to happen. We can never show them in a sympathetic light. And this was to do, Owen, you would know about this. You were dealt with television. The different codes they had where movies couldn't end with bad guys winning. Literally, that was a part that was written into, like, you can't have this movie where that's why in the end of the original Ocean's 11, the money blew away. Or that's why there's a movie with Michael Caine, I think it's The Italian Job. That's why it ends on a cliffhanger, literally with them hanging off a cliff, because it couldn't. So a lot of it too with the comics code, a lot of them villains was just villains. But we live in such a long enough timeline where society changed, characters are interesting, so we start to flush them out. And as you said, Ron, villains now become anti-heroes, or they're not that bad. They're sympathetic. We kind of,
to your point. This is why I was so glad when the Comic Code Authority was finally done. I always go back to the story. Read Emperor Doom. Read that story. It's a Marvel graphic novel, Emperor Doom. You read it, and you're like, Doom, literally, this is fucking Doom that we're talking about. You're telling me a guy who took his country, and he takes over the world. It's Jinx. He kidnaps Purple Man, because this is the story where Purple Man gets killed. Basically uses this power that Purple Man has, makes it a ray, and takes over the world. And in this story, he basically fixes problems that were easy to fix. The Cold War, he fixed that. He literally fixed world hunger in the story. And you're telling me he did all that, as intelligent as Doom is, and he can't handle logistical stress, which is basically what happens in the story. He's just like, oh, the Avengers are back. Let me just let this play out. He literally has his finger over the button and he chooses not to press it. And it's like, that only happens because, like you said, the villain had to lose. But if you were to write that story today, which lo and behold, they kind of did, you know, it's like Doom would never give up power. You would have to introduce something that would make him give up power, because we have a better understanding of how things work. And we're not constrained by the comic code authority.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was just like, really, matter of fact, it's so bad that who is it? It's Hank Pym's wife, Wasp. She basically asked Captain America in her own way, did we do the right thing? Is what Doom did bad? And Cap's some bullshit answer like, you know, that's not up for one man, that's up for the world to decide. I sat and read that, but I'm like, he stopped the Cold War. He ended world hunger. He basically put all the societies and he didn't really demand a whole lot other than allegiance. You know, not like the way that they did it here recently. It was just, he did that. And he gives it up just on happenstance. Get the fuck out of here. She irritated me. And it's also possible that because I read that story 3 years ago, the story was initially done in the 80s. It made more sense for the 80s, but it's like it doesn't hold up in today's society because it just wouldn't make sense. And if you did all of that, nobody would bother you. You'd be like, oh, he wants us to say Hail Doom. Okay. He fixed everything else. Why am I complaining on Easy Street?
Right.
I get paid more. We fed. We're advancing. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. People we live in the States. We see what people throw their allegiance to now, and you not benefiting from that shit. Not in totality. So definitely, yeah. I won't go no further. That story irritates the hell out of me. But let's move on.
Right.
We're trying to do some things different with the show. So we're going to transition to a video that I did here real soon, starting right about now. And hey, what's happening, everybody? What is happening? So this is one of those like late night thought posts, right? Let me just better situated, right? Well, you know, one of those like late night thought posts, or actually it's not even really a late night thought post. This is just something that for fun has been like crossing my mind. And so I was just thinking, you know, we're in basketball season. I thought about doing this with football season. But I was like, you know, we're in basketball season. And I imagine most people who are in the Black comic book space like sports. But it got me thinking, what roles in a comic book creative team match up well with the positions on a basketball team? And so what I'm gonna do this. So here are your traditional basketball positions and what they do and their traditional responsibilities. Now, we do live in an age where you know, a lot of these positions, very few people probably do these positions in the traditional way. I think Chris Paul was like one of the last true blue point guards, just for an example. But for this post, it's not about your favorite player that exemplifies those positions or your favorite creative team that best exemplifies these positions. It's about the actual positions and the actual roles of a creative team. And like I said, some of these are hybrid positions. I mean, we live in a day and age now where they say they've got the point forward, they've got I don't know, the center guard or whatever. I don't even think small forward truly exists anymore. It may still exist. And like I said, I know that you all want to get in the comments with, well, no, Ron, they do still have these players. I mean, if you look at so-and-so's game, that's just traditionally, that's not what I'm asking for, right? The only reason why I bring up the ability for hybrids is because in comics, your artist is at times or sometimes even more of a storyteller than your writer, because there's things that an artist understands that a writer may not, especially when it comes to angles and how things look visually, right? So take a good look, see what these positions traditionally are and what they do, all right? Let's count down. Let's see, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna remove that. Now, I'm gonna bring this up. So, this is just on Google, just type in comic book roles, right? Here's your better known 6, right? So I was like, dang, there's 5 positions. So I want to give you, first, when you do this, think 6, because 6 man has an award, right? And then I believe, most basketball teams, it's a 9-man rotation. So then from here, probably pick your other 3 people. Now, cover artists are very important, right? They are very important. So I got my monitor here, and so I'm looking this way. Cover artists are important. So now when you think of your, I'll say starting 6, even though it's traditionally starting 5, but usually number 6 is going to be the next man up. Who would you put as your number 6? Don't just think you're starting 5. Like, if I had to, me personally, maybe if I had to switch a position, I know it's either between, it's hard for me to even think. I'm gonna go either between the letterer or the inker. Yeah, letterer or the inker, and switch them out for the cover artist. So that's how I want you guys to kind of think of it. Like, really think, like, okay, he wants us to first think about that starting 5, then add a 6 man. Who would that be? See, I brought up cover artists from the number 7 spot because cover art is huge in selling comics. So me personally, I would have to put a cover artist in my starting 5, or at least my first 6. Now, what position specifically would I have it be? Man, that's tough. I'm gonna say, you all might kill me for this, so I'm gonna narrow it down. It's either gonna be your point guard, your shooting guard, or maybe your small forward. That's your cover artist. Cover artist does one thing, but it has to do that one thing very, very well, or people may not pick up the book, right? So I say either point guard, shooting guard, or small forward, but probably more realistically, I'm thinking, oh man, I may have to stay with that small forward. Because I'm thinking point, I may go writer, and then my shooting guard is my penciler, otherwise known as the artist. That's very important. Now don't ask me who I would have as the center. Maybe. Oh shit. No, I ain't gonna lie. That's why I said this is like one of those like midnight thoughts. He said, hell, I don't even have it all together. But that aside, this is kind of how I want you to think about it, right? I'm gonna go back to my screen so I can actually focus in. And then you got like a 9-man rotation. Now we see here, editor-in-chief, right? I want to take editor-in-chief out. He's not going to be a player on this team. I want you to look at your editor-in-chief as either your coach or your general manager, right? And feel free from editor-in-chief on up to here, figure out who you want to be your coach. Now, let's be realistic. It's probably going to go between editor and editor-in-chief. More than likely, hell, this is how I know this was a midnight thought. Editor is probably your coach. Your editor in chief is probably your GM. So sweet. Now that I've thought about that, I'm going to take editor out of my original 6. So now I've got 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to move cover artist into the 6th spot. So now from cover artist to letterer, colorist, inker, penciler, writer, pick who's going to be your point guard, pick who's going to be your shooting guard, pick who's going to be your small forward, pick who's going to be your power forward, pick who's going to be your center. Work with the traditional positions first before you start figuring out, well, maybe this comic book creative role could be a hybrid and whatnot. Work with the traditional sticks, before you figure out the other one. Now, you got color separator, production artist, spotter. I'm not going all the way down here, okay? At this point, these people at the bottom of the rotation. Not that those people are not important, but they're at the bottom of the rotation. We just gonna go with here, right? So you got these 3. Figure out who might be a specialist. Ain't nothing wrong with having a specialist on your team. That was Robert Horry. Big shot Rob. Got what? 7 or 8 rings? Not a Hall of Famer. But when you needed a last second shot, he was good for it, right? So you got this. Take a good look. Let's see. You got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now I'm going to remove that. And then I'm going to put back the traditional basketball position. Right? Just once again, a refresher. Here's your traditional basketball positions. Fill these 5 first, plus a 6-man. Now, your 6-man, that can be any one of these positions, right? But fill them with one of those comic book creator roles, right? Go ahead and just remove this and bring this one back. Remember, you're going to fill out your first 5 with, because like I said, we moved editor to coach, and obviously GM's probably your editor in chief. But so from your cover artist, your letterer, colorist, inker, penciler, writer, fill in those first 5 positions and make one of those your 6-man. And then if you want, you can fill out the rest of that 9-man rotation with flatter or production artist or color separator. Other than that, y'all, that's it for this. This was just a quick thought post video. Let me know what you all think. I'm gonna be excited to see you guys' responses. Y'all take it easy. Be blessed. All right, everybody, we are back. So let's go ahead and get into the meat of the show. We got Owen Ratliff. Oh God, why am I fumbling this? My bad, bro. I forgot what the name of the book was.
Oh, Black Salt.
Black Salt. My bad, everybody.
Salt.
Let me do that. We got Owen Ratliff, the writer creator of Black Salt. Man, how you doing today, brother?
Oh, pretty good.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
I'm like I said, I grew up in Compton.
Okay.
And I was a basketball player, and I was, doing pretty good, had a scholarship, and I tore my back muscle, so it ended my career. And my mentor, he was in the film industry, so he taught me a lot. And then I went into music because I grew up with Suge and Dr. Dre and all of them. We all kind of grew up in the same neighborhood, Easy.
Whoa.
Like that, So I ended up moving to Columbus, Ohio, and I started a record label there, because I grew up, with all the guys and everything like that, and ended up doing pretty well. I have gold and platinum plaques. I worked on the Blaze soundtrack, the Bullworth, Faking the Funk, Better Way to Die. I did a lot of stuff in the music. It was the biggest concert promoter in Columbus, Ohio for a while.
It's funny you mentioned Columbus because I have family in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
real quick, where'd you go to? You said you went to college out in California. Where'd you go to school?
Well, Oregon.
Yeah, where'd you went to college in Oregon?
Yeah.
Which one? Oregon State or Oregon University?
University.
And that's OU. That's the Ducks, right?
That's the Ducks. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know what's funny?
Yellow boys.
My best friend's brother, Lorenzo, he coached at Washington for years. And, he came from the NBA, too. But so after that, when I started doing a lot of, I did my own music videos.
Mm-hmm.
So, people were like, good, so I made that transition into film. And in 2002, I did a film called Unstable Minds, and it did really well, and we sold that to HBO.
Okay.
So then after
What music
that,
videos did you do?
huh?
What music videos did you do?
No, I did mine.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for my record label.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did all my, and I actually like I did a compilation which ended up blowing up because I ended up putting big names on it. It was called a Midwest Funk because I was in Ohio.
Mm.
I did 1, 2, and 3, and then the last one had Twister. I mean, I had a lot of Bone. I had a lot of big
I was a
names.
big Bone fan growing up.
Yeah, because it ended up getting big. The compilation, and that last one. If you turned it over, it was the R&B side, had the R&B cover, and if you turned it over, it had the rap cover, with the rappers.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
So then, after I kind of transitioned that, I got tired of every time in the film industry, you saw blacks, we were either dope dealers or we weren't taking care of our kids. So I wanted to create a hero, but I didn't want him to have superpowers. So, I grew up doing martial arts. So I thought, Shaolin,
Okay.
everybody always liked Shaolin. So I thought
Hold
that
on
was
real quick.
good to have him,
This what you're talking about right here? Midwest Funk? Or is
Yeah,
it something else?
it was Midwest Funk. No, let me see. No,
Not that one? Okay, I just wanted
no, that's not it. No.
to. Okay. I'll find. I won't find. I just wanted to put it up there. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So, so that's kind of where, Black Salt kind of,
Mm.
was born. So, like I said, I
So
did.
a question. So back in that time, so you had a love for kung fu movies and that kind of stuff.
Oh man, yeah, you couldn't get me away from that.
So that you said I had a kind of heavy influence in terms of, because it does when I read the book, it did give me that feel of the old kung fu martial arts kind of
The
film.
whole David Carradine Kung Fu series.
Yes.
Well, I didn't see the original. I saw the reboot that they did in '93 because I'm probably the youngest of the three of us. I was born in '84, best year ever.
Okay.
No disrespect to y'all years, but I'm pretty sure '84 was the best.
Yeah.
It's on an ancient tablet somewhere. Don't worry about it. Only 84 people know where to find it. But yeah, I got that feel too. But I also got a tinge of like that '90s era image, like art style from it, like Wildcats and whatnot, especially Agent Lee with their ponytail and whatnot. So I kind of got that feel from it too.
So so what happened, like I said, when I came back, after my mother had passed from being sick, and I was looking on the internet and I saw I saw Freddie's. So I said, man, I like this. I said, let me see what he thinks about this. So I sent it to him, and I wasn't even thinking, because I had kind of put the comic books down since I did the proof of concept, and it did so well. I was going into the movies, because I'm more of a movie.
So you did when you did the comic book, the comic book was done as a proof of concept for the film series. When did you start the comic book?
I started the comic book in 2012.
Okay, so you started the comic book in 2012, and you completed how many issues?
Okay. So this is what I did. I did the first 4 issues, but I had already written the script for the last 2. And I kind of started getting tired of the comic books because I'm more, like I said, a filmmaker.
Right.
So I wanted to see how it looked on the screen. So I did the 30-minute mini feature.
Okay.
Yes. And it's like I said, I entered it into the Urban Expo, and it was sponsored by HBO. And then, like I said, the winners got some money, and the winner got a licensing deal from HBO for 26 months.
Okay.
And it won first place. People were blown away.
So question. So when you did, that's a little different from when you created, as much as it's still in the 2010s, right? That's a different landscape for creating indie comics than right now. there's a ton of artists online. There's tons of writers online. You can't go in a forum without being hassled with people telling you, look at me, hire me, hire me. So who did you, how did you find your artists? Was it someone from here? Did you go overseas? How did you go about? Because the information for creating a comic book then wasn't as readily available as it is now.
You know, a friend of mine told me about a guy, and I talked to him and everything, and at that time, it looked okay because I just wanted to get it done because, like I said, I was more actually that script was one of my first movie scripts for Black Salt.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying? So so then he kind of I got a comic book writer.
Ron, you could break the credits because I noticed that the credits, the credits page, you kind of show the. And I was looking at it; it was interesting. So, right, you did the screenplay. So did you that's your co-writer there?
Okay, no, I went out and got a writer that for comic books that wrote.
Yeah, but you did it. It says, but you did the screenplay. You and someone else wrote the screenplay.
Yes.
Okay,
right.
Actually, let me do this instead. And real quick, guys, when he's saying Wise Comics, he's talking about Wise Acre Comics, who Alan and then I can't remember. And then when he's talking about Freddie, he's talking about Frederick. It's not Frederick Little, is it?
That's it. It's Frederick Little. Yes.
Okay, because I didn't want to get him confused with. It was somebody else from the musician from the Caribbean. His last name was Little. He made a song. I didn't want to mess it up.
Huh.
Let me put this up here. So this is Black Salt. This is the first issue.
Right. So the comic book, right? You brought on a writer on board, and he's the person who then transitioned the screenplay into a script.
Yes.
Okay. So great. So that's interesting. So then what was the next step after that?
Okay. So after the 4 issues, I did the first 4 issues. I said, I'm ready to do, because I'm more of a movie guy. I said, man, I need to see how this look on screen. Mm-hmm. So I did the Kickstarter, actually it was Indiegogo. I did for that one. Okay. But then I went out and got a director, Ben Ramsey. He did Blood and Bones and stuff. Ben was good, So me and Ben, when we got together, we just made some history because, like I said, the mini feature did really well. I actually, if my mother didn't get sick, I had an investor that wanted to put up the money for the feature. Mm-hmm. I mean, at that moment, it kind of blew up. And all the comic books, because like when we at the HBO, when we were there, we all had booths and stuff. I sold out every, from that 1 through 4, I sold out all the comic books. I had merchandise, I had hats, T-shirts, and I sold out of everything.
So now that you're back on board, what are you looking to do?
So now that I'm back on board, I just finished developing the feature all together now. So now I'm looking for a sales agent.
Mm-hmm. And when you say the feature, you're talking about the movie itself?
Black Salt feature film. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
So do me a favor, because I'm a film guy too. I went to the Art Institute of Seattle, so I know a little bit about film. So walk us through kind of what that whole process is like, because there are times where we feel like
I want to show you guys something.
Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
I don't know if you can see this. See, I did the whole.
There's a glare, so try to get it as close to the screen as possible.
Yeah. Let's see if you tell me what.
Can you raise it up? It's going to be right in front.
I can see it. I can see it there. I can see it there.
Okay, like I said, this was the DVD I did, man. It sold like hotcakes. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? Let me see if we could do something better for you here.
Okay.
Because I think you sent that as a part of one of the PDFs you sent, right?
Yeah. Matter of fact, if you look at the one sheet for the comic book.
Okay, I'll look that up. You keep talking and walk us through that whole film process, everything. If you don't mind talking about that, what that's like, because we feel like there are certain books that have been submitted to us or that we've read, and
Uh-huh.
Alan can attest to this. We feel like the comic book was a proof of concept for a TV show or for film. And when we read it for review, we're like, there's a lot of inconsistencies and things here, but it's like they didn't really write it for comic books. They wrote it for the screen. So
Yeah.
while you're discussing that, I'll try to look for that so that we could get it up there for the viewers.
Yes. So that could be wise a little, because like I was more the film guy, but like I said, so because I'd always planned to just give the comic books away.
Right.
It wasn't, because I knew it wasn't a lot of money in comics, and since I had already kind of developed a franchise, because like I said, I did a fighting game, a 3D arena fighting game demo, which is also on that one sheet, the trailer, and we won some awards and everything. And then, like I said, we put it on Steam. And like I said, once my mother got sick, I never got to finish any. I mean, I was kind of on a roll.
So you're looking to finish the game too?
And then life took over, and that's we have no control over that.
So you're looking to finish the video game? Are you going to finish the game?
Yes, I'm gonna finish the game. I also have an animated series called Black Salt: The Legend of New Shaolin about Sam's kids, and I did the pilot, and I got the 12 treatments.
So what was it? Explain for the audience who may not, what is a treatment?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, a treatment is like an episode. It's 12 episodes. So a treatment is an episode. Each episode. Yeah.
Could you explain the difference between a treatment versus a script?
Okay, well, like I said, a treatment is just a little story for like a 22-minute episode, where a script is for a full feature. And that's usually anywhere from 85 pages to 120, 85 pages and up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the reason why I asked you to react, because you froze up, so we didn't hear your initial explanation. Okay. I also know that in general, when you do a treatments don't have dialogue in it. No, so kind of
it's more of a story, like a story.
Yeah. So I'll use this as an example. DC The Other History. If you guys have read this book, there's no direct dialogue. A treatment doesn't have direct dialogue. So Black Lightning isn't going to say something directly to a character. It's all kind of like thought. It's all like narrative. Yes. Or a treatment will also have very little dialogue. Like if you just have to have it, you put it in there. But in general, you don't put it in there.
No. Like I said, it's just a story for that particular project that you're doing. And like I said, Okay, so a treatment is an episode, really. Like I said, so what you do is, if you're going to have 12 episodes, you write 12 treatments, because it's for each episode, each 22-minute episode. That's what a treatment is.
They also do treatments for film too. So
they do. Yeah. I was just doing it because I was doing the treatment for.
Yeah. So let me rephrase it so that people understand better. Live action, whether it's a TV show, a movie, a short film, you can do a treatment for. That way people can. So like when you submit to studios, more than likely you're going to submit a treatment so that they can read it and get the gist of what you're saying. Because there's a treatment, there's your full script, there's a shooting script. Mm-hmm. It's very detailed.
And a synopsis, and you start with the synopsis and the log line, and then you go to the treatment. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Okay. Like, so it's for those people that would like to see their projects advance, understand what you're getting into. So we want to, I love spreading information. Let me see. Why won't it let me?
So there's a lot of, so you have a lot of, you turn this whole Black Salt thing into a franchise. The idea is to kind of get more of a franchise kind of thing. So what can you tell me about the main character, Sam?
Okay. So Sam, so he grew up in Compton, and that's kind of emulating me. And his father never came back from the Gulf War.
Okay.
There it is. So this is the animated series. You see at the last one is Black Salt: The Legend of New Shaolin. And then Black Salt Corruption is the video game. It's a 3D arena fighting game. And then the second one, that's the cover of the DVD. That's the proof of concept.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna the graphic novel I told you, once I get 4 and 5 and redo 1 and 4, that's gonna be the cover of the graphic novel.
Okay.
Yeah, you told us, but that's the first time you mentioned the redoing. You can explain later why you're going to go back and redo it, but you told us off camera that you were going to redo it. Yeah. But you were saying something before I put this up.
Yeah. You tell me about the main character, Sam.
Oh, okay. So Sam's, like I said, grew up in Compton. It was him and his mother, because his father went to the Gulf War and he never came back. Like, they don't know, he got captured, he got killed. He just never came back. So Sam was 10, and he was just starting to, with the kids, getting into a little mischief. So Sam's mother, when she went to college, her best friend was a Chinese lady from China. So she asked her, that they were teachers. So she asked her, did she want to come to China and teach music? So Sam's mother thought, okay, it'd be a good idea to take Sam. He's 10. He's just getting into that bad, he's angry because his father never came back. So she said, this might be a little something different for my son. So when she took him over to China, they was only there for like a month and a half. And when they went into the village, his mother got killed.
Oh.
And he was 10 years old. So, but when it was going on, a monk saw what was happening and he ran over to try to save him, but he couldn't save the mother in time, but he saved Sam.
Okay.
So at 10 years old, okay.
Yeah, quick. You said the Gulf War. Is it Gulf War or Vietnam? Because in the book, I believe Sam and his mother are in China in 79. Or did it happen later? I'm just could you clarify that?
Let me see.
Because he was talking about it past tense in a flashback.
Okay. And you know what? I'm kind of getting a little mixed up because I end up changing the script.
You changed the script when you brought it forward, so the comic book script will be different.
Right. Because,
I got
tell you from the so I'll tell you something else that got really changed. So back then, when I had sent the script to a friend of mine in China, he told me, he said, no, the Chinese wouldn't go for this because they don't want their heroes to be villains. So he said, what you should do is let the Japanese be the villain.
Right.
So I was kind of depressed for a while about that, but then I thought about it. I said, you know what? Now I could bring in the Yakuza. So that's what I ended up doing for the mini feature, and so I kind of got mixed up because I've done so many.
No, I understand, because when you do different versions, especially if you take a hiatus, you modernize something, you always kind of shift. You got to shift the historical conflicts and stuff like that.
Yes. So I couldn't quite remember because, like I said, the comic books was done, because I'm trying to modernize, and everything.
Oh, okay. So that we understand. So the comic books, Sam, it's the 70s, but then like the future and all that, that's. You've changed it and modernized. You've moved up the timeline.
Yeah. But I don't want to change the comic books. I want it because to me, that's kind. I'll do, like I said, the art and all that, and a few little things. But I kind of want to keep that from that original because when comic books go to movies, things change in the movie.
Yeah. I actually believe that whenever you do that cross platform, I think each story should be slightly different.
Yes.
So that if someone experiences it, they're not saying, I saw this already. There are things when you see a remake, Disney's famous for it, where when you watch some of the remakes, it's shot for shot, line for line. And if you saw the original, you're like, I don't need to see this. Where there's another remake where they change the time, they change the politics, they change the characters a bit. The story's still similar, but it's entertaining enough that you want to see how they're going to change it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think there's two different views on that because there is one aspect where it's like, some people I don't want to see the same thing. You brought up Disney, like Beauty and the Beast, right? That was one of the first live action remakes they did. There could be that person who's like, I don't want to see the exact same thing you did in 92 in live action. But then there's also that camp of people that want to see how faithful you could stay to the thing that I fell in love with. So I think that it's all about how you kind of want to see it.
Yeah.
For some people, don't modernize it. Give me something a little bit unexpected. Because I know, like for me, like when I went to go see The Lion King live action, I wanted what I saw in '94. I got a little bit of that, but there's a lot of it. I'm like, well, besides their lifeless facial expressions, it's like, okay, So that's just my thought on that. Depends on just the type of person.
Hey,
But
no,
I
have a trailer. If you scroll,
go ahead, man.
Yeah, if you scroll just a little bit, I have.
Oh, did he freeze up on us again?
Mm.
Oh, did I freeze?
Yeah, you're good. One.
Okay, I have the intro trailer that I'm using on my Kickstarter. I just wish it's just a minute, and so I wish you could play that. Just so
I might be able to, depending on how big it is. If you send it to me.
No, if you scroll down from the one sheet, it's the first. It's the intro. If you scroll down just a little bit, you see where it says the intro on the one sheet.
Let me see here. Where did I got it at? Oh, right here. Let's see.
Yeah, you see where's the intro? Yeah, that's it.
Check this out. Completely wireless. Let me show you something real quick. This is my dash cam. Not a single cable in sight. I can take it right out of the car.
Let's skip that.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
When I was a child, my mother and I moved to China to start a new life. We were strangers, living in a strange land. That is until thugs took my mother's life. Orphaned and alone, I was adopted by the great warrior monk, Yubai Sho. Against the laws of his temple, he taught me the esoteric arts of Shaolin Kung Fu. Society would know me as Agent Samuel Lincoln Tharp of Interpol, but legend would know me by a different name.
Okay.
Yeah, that's nice, man.
Yeah.
I like who. I don't know if you could tell us who did the trailer. I like the effects of the.
Yeah, me and Ben, the director.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. And if you scroll down towards the bottom, I have the trailer, the minute and a half trailer for the movie, and then I had a video game demo.
Okay. Let me pull that. There.
Yeah.
Let me pull that back.
That same page. If you just scroll down.
Okay, I gotta pull that back up.
Oh, okay.
Y'all keep talking. I gotta go.
Yeah.
So you got the game. There's a lot of things here. Is you really kind of put a lot of effort into this whole franchise and stuff. So the focus right now, the Kickstarter is for
it's to turn the comic book because so I said, you know what? I finished the feature script. I said, let me go back and clean up the comic books now.
Okay.
See, because
is it the explainer trailer that you said?
Okay, no, not the explainer trailer. What's above that? What's the
actually? Let me do the video game demo.
Okay. Yeah. You can kind of see what that looks like.
Let me do that one. Because I don't know about you, Alan, but like I said, we get a lot of people. It's like we can kind of see this is what you want to be doing, but you're actually doing it, and so that's. And I
also produced the song on there. I produced the song too.
Okay.
Because I was into music.
Yeah, let's see here.
Black salt, no mask on. Black superhero with the all black sword. Like, go hard, no days off. Many superheroes, but I'm still on the call. I'm black salt, no mask on. Black superhero with the all black sword. Like, go hard, no days off. Many superheroes, but I'm still on the call. Death before the sign, I took the solemn vow to the honor that I'll never be without it. How you feel when you the king of the mountain? Asiatic, the relic, lost in the fountain. The war been genetic, I overstand your perspective. What you mean you see the symbols in my necklace? All gold medallions, all black diamonds, industrial the zone. My satellite will find that we back to Beijing. Tell them assemble the team. What's the scheme? We looking for the horse ripper, all black D16. I am Goldfinger, the devil wears the mask. The syndicate attack, the cold blood shed tattooed on the back. Had to balance my chi, all is within. Knowledge is the key, but it won't let you in. I decoded the cipher, had to get out how I live.
Okay.
Nice one.
Well, shit.
That reminds me.
Shit.
Now, what's the okay? Now, if you look at the trailer, should be, you know, so I can't see what's under there. What's above?
Oh, I got to put it back on the screen.
Okay.
Because you know, these things.
I want you to see the trailer for the mini feature. You saw the intro, but I wanted you to see the trailer.
Okay. Yeah.
You see it?
I got to share the screen again.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, and then I gotta bring it. And oh shit! No, there it is. Now, is a one sheet a standard thing for multimedia?
That's when you go and shop. You know, you want to have a one sheet.
Yeah, explain that to the crowd what a one sheet is.
Okay, so yeah, that's the one sheet. It's basically, it has your synopsis, your and the little information on what you're doing on it. And okay, so that's the comic book one sheet, but I also have a one for the film one sheet.
Okay.
Yes. And I have one for the video game one sheet, and I have one for the animated series one sheet. So you got, you write one. So when you're shopping, because if you send that to a producer or an investor, like they don't want to see, like a business plan first. They want to see if they're even interested. So you send them a one page, and you have the picture at the top, and you have the basic knowledge. If you have a trailer or you have something, and then that'll be enough. If they're interested, then they call, or they get back in touch with you. Say, hey, I'd like to see, either your script, or I like to see your your business plan, or your deck, or your pitch deck.
Okay. So this is the first stage. So most people who we see who get those Netflix deals, or those people who get the different little Disney deal, this is where they have to start.
Yes, this is kind of, yes.
All right. And so then following that, so we see you got your graphic novel, proof of concept film, video game demo, animation series. And this one sheet's going to talk a little bit about all of that.
Yes, and that really, this was more for my comic book. That was more, but like I say, I have a one sheet for each.
So so when you pitch, you want to have a one sheet for each thing.
For each.
Okay.
Yes, okay. Yeah.
And then the next bit is down here. Can you guys see my cursor?
No. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, so this is interesting. Most of the time, we just have guys, we talk comics. We've never had somebody have one of these. So I want you to explain every part of that, because one of the things that I've decided to make my mission is to get more information out there. And I know Alan said that a long time ago there weren't a lot of comic book resources. And so if you saw my episode with Edward Brown, I plugged this book as a resource, but I have other books that I'm trying to read it. And as I read them, I'll start plugging them to give creators, some information to help better their skill set. Because we want to see people get better, you know.
Yes.
So explain what's the next part of this. So you have your information, everybody, because you said this is for your comic. So this is everybody who worked on it, right?
Yes. It's everybody who worked on it. And
Okay.
and you know, also one sheet is good if you're sending to a publisher, like Image and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then walk us through the next part, because I think this is the intro, everybody, that we saw. This is the link. And you know what I'm gonna do? I will figure out a way. I'll talk with them. We'll figure out a way so we can get these links posted when we advertise this, so that people can click on these things. So we'll figure out some way to do that. Like I said, we're learning to be better too. So we're gonna get those links posted. So all right, now explain the log line, so that people can understand what that is.
Okay. A log line, whether it's a comic book, a movie, a TV series, in at least two sentences or 2.5 sentences, no longer than that, you should at least be able to tell what is it about. You should be able to do that in a sentence, but sentence to 2 sentences.
Okay.
What the project is about.
All right.
Is that something that is done? So I've always been told, a logline is very important. How important is it? Do you find it is?
Put it this way: it's so important. If they read a log line and it's no good, they won't read the rest of your. They won't read the rest of your stuff.
Okay. So when you're doing TV, film, and whatnot, a lot of what we're going to ask him to describe about this, for people that want to know, it is very standardized. Even the text and font that you write your script in is standardized. Don't get fancy talking about I'm gonna do, Arial black or something like that. No, they won't look at it. If you use script writing software like Celtics, it will automatically format it. The film and TV industry is very standardized because, and this kind of goes like back to what I said about promo. You are one person submitting your script to 30 people, right? But that one place is getting 30 scripts. So they need it standardized so that they can read it and get through it. It's also like a resume. That's why they want you to format your resume to like 1 or 2 pages, simple as possible, because you don't understand how many submissions they are getting in a day.
Yes.
So yeah, this is actually good. So go ahead and explain to us the next part.
Okay, I kind of can't see, so you got to tell me what
The
that
summary.
It's the summary part. Let me see if I can make it. Is this better, guys?
Yeah. Okay. So the summary is it could either be called a summary or a synopsis. And the reason why I called it a summary in the comic book, because I saw that's kind of what they called it. In the film, it would be a synopsis. And now it gives you it gives you the story. That's really what it is. It's the story. So if you read that, you'll know what the story is about for that series.
And so something else, people, like film and prose, like how he said like synopsis, summary. It's kind of like with the camera. You got aperture and iris. Like pretty much they're the exact same thing, just different words to describe the exact same thing. Because the two industries are different, but in a lot of ways they are very similar.
Yeah. So if a publisher got that, say Image got that, they see this, they see the once they read the synopsis, they know what the Black Salt 6 issues is about. That's the story.
Okay. I'm gonna scroll down. Now we got comic book series here. So yeah, go ahead and just as we scroll down, just explain to us what we're seeing.
Okay, let's see. I'm trying.
Can you see it, or do I need to try to enlarge it?
Crowdfunding.
Huh?
Is it a crowdfunding? That part. Yeah.
Now I want him to walk us through the whole thing because we've never had this, and so this is exciting.
Okay. If you could just read a little bit of the paragraph, so I could, like what did
Okay. So this part, it says the comic book series. So this must be what you're talking about when it comes to the comic book series.
Okay.
It says Black Salt is a 6-issue comic book series blending hot.
Okay, so I gave you the story with the summary. Now I'm telling you what the whole 6 issues kind of what I want to do, and it just gives you more of a detailed view of it from the outside. You know, if you kind of just read that little, you know, if you want to just read a little bit, you'll see the difference.
Let me, since it's not that long, I'm gonna read it because there's some other information in there.
Okay.
So starting, it says Black Salt is a 6-issue comic book series blending high octane martial arts with modern espionage and political intrigue. This is why I wanted to read this, because now you're saying who it's for. Targeted at readers 14 to 55, the series introduces a diverse cast of heroes and villains rooted in global culture, spiritual discipline, and explosive action. Samuel Thorpe isn't just a spy, he's a weapon forged in silence, able to wield near superhuman feats through mastery of chi and ancient martial arts techniques. As an orphan child, he was raised and trained secretly outside the temple walls, one of the lost arts of Shaolin by legendary master Yu Bai Shek. By Chek?
Shek, yes.
He operates in a world where terrorists wield bioweapons and ancient secrets have become deadly tools of war.
Okay, so now that's your target market, you know, because they ask you, okay, here's a comic book or here's a movie, or who's your customer? What's your target market? That's very important to know.
Okay, so now we have the next part. That's crowdfunding and production.
Now this will explain how I'm gonna redo. You go into the crowdfunding now. What I want to do.
Okay. I won't read all this, but can you guys see it, or do you need
it? No, they can see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to read this out to us, man? If you can read it, if not,
I can't see it good enough. It's too small.
You can't see it. Too small.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so since I can see it on my screen,
it's small. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So crowdfunding and production status. Is it Ratty?
Yeah, Ratty. I'm Ratty. Yes.
Yeah, Ratty. Ratty Entertainment has Ratty Entertainment has do it again. Ratty Entertainment has a proven track record in crowdfunding, previously delivering a successful campaign for the award-winning 30-minute Black Soft proof of concept film. The company has completed the first 4 issues of the Black Salt comic series, with scripts and covers for issues 5 and 6 already finalized. The graphic novel cover is complete, and the Kickstarter pre-launch campaign for issue 5 is now live, has earned a Project We Love badge, and is building a strong momentum with 591 plus followers and counting. The current goal is to complete the final 2 issues and compile all 6 into a hardcover graphic novel, further establishing Black Salt as a strong, bankable IP with clear franchise potential. And then we got here Black Salt Kickstarter crowdfunding page. Is this link still active?
Yes. That's right now.
Okay, yes. And so that's the link
that's
there.
That's the link. Yes.
Okay. We'll go through the next part. So here it says comic book / advantages. You want to obviously this
just don't read it. Just tell us what you meant right there.
I'm not going to read it, but obviously this is him, you know, for potential investors, letting them understand that there is a market for this and how much, and it also lets people know how serious he is, because they have 4 issues and they already got 5 and 6. So that lets potential investors know how serious they are. Explain this section right here. It says comic book / advantages.
Okay, so I tell the difference of the advantages of my comic book versus, you know, other comic books and stuff like that. Yes.
Okay.
And it's small. I mean, it's only, you know, if you want to read it, it kind of helps.
No. We're sitting at let's see, about an hour and 19.
Okay.
There's a few other things that
I'm having so much fun with you guys. I forgot to tell.
Oh yeah, we're having fun because this is different. This is more than what we expected. So this is honestly the most interesting part to me. I'll just keep it a whole buck with you.
Okay.
But we there are some other things that I had 2 questions that I wanted to ask.
Okay.
And so here we have multimedia expansion and awards.
Uh-huh.
Oh shoot, let me do this. There we go. You want to describe this section to us? I guess it's just
it's
for
just
me,
awards, like like the film got the HBO, and then my video game, I won some awards there, and it tells you at GDC, because GDC is the biggest for video games, the biggest convention.
Tell us what GDC is.
Okay, GDC is it's a big convention. They have it every year for the video game market.
Does that stand for Game Developer Conference?
Yes, that's it. That's exactly what it stands for. That's exactly what that stands for. So our demo won the Spotlight Award at GDC, and then we won another award at DreamHack. That's another conference. So just telling some awards that the project has won.
Okay.
How easy is it to get into video game development? That's something that I was thinking of getting into, especially if I'm looking to step out of this comic book field.
See, man, and I'll tell you what my specialty is. What I'm really good at, because I've owned some business. Like right now, I'm the COO of a metaverse platform right now. Like we did the first Floyd Mayweather fight in the metaverse about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And matter of fact, we're working on a deal with the Dodgers right now to do some things. So I'm kind of in the tech a little bit, but my specialty, I feel, everybody got their own specialties. I can go into something that I really didn't know a lot about, and I can pull it all and come, like the video game. I know video games, but I just went out and got the people, and I know how to organize everything and get it done.
I'm gonna step away real quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You guys can keep talking. I'm gonna be gone for like a quick minute.
Okay. So now, man, with the technology, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Now it's AI and all that's a lot easier, because my thing is like comic books, it's just not enough. You know what I mean? I see, and this is what I was talking to Frederick about. You need to, if you're going to build a comic book, like let's take your property. It should be some type of franchise, so you have some more pieces. You follow me?
Yeah.
Instead of just because I see all these comic book people, they just keep doing comic books. Okay, that's fine, but do you kind of want to turn it into some money, or because
I do understand. As you said, it should be what they call brand synergy, turn it into a video game, should have some light novels going on, books, something that keeps not just relying on one revenue stream, and you don't all have the same fan base. So people who read books don't read comics. People who play video games don't necessarily read comics. We're kind of hoping that, but you don't know who you're going to catch. So I do see the point of doing that kind of stuff. But as a indie creator who is near broke, it is very expensive. So there's not a possibility as easy as jumping into saying I would like to do a video game, that kind of thing.
Well, and it's like this. If you could just come up with a like a little trailer, and like I said, now with AI and everything going on, you could just put the concept together. And if it had a little trailer, that's how you get the people to come in and give you the money.
Oh, okay. So you kind of work on the building up any investors kind of thing.
And even the crowdfunding. I mean, look, I raised the money for the mini feature on the crowdfunding. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and the rest of the money that I need for the video game, that's going to be next. I don't need a lot because I got a lot done, but I could go and raise $10,000 on crowdfunding to.
What I wanted to say about the video game when I saw the trailer, it reminded me of years ago. I believe it was PlayStation era. The Wu-Tang Clan had a video game. It with the music, and it was a battle royale kind of thing. It really it kind of reminded me of because their Shaolin Temple kind of vibe. It reminded me of their Wu-Tang video game, and I remember I actually bought that because at the time it had like an exclusive Wu-Tang song on it. So that was the only way you could get it, and this is before the internet. So you want something was exclusive, you kind of just flock to get it.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, yes.
I'm actually looking that up. I can't remember. When you said, oh no, I guess they did have a damn video game.
Yeah,
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Seems like a little bit
And you know what's funny, man? Once I get the feature of just a little more, I'm gonna get a hold of RZA, so me and him can do the soundtrack.
Okay, that's cool. you reconnected.
Okay. Sure. Let's just throw RZA out there. Okay, let's just do that shit.
You know, because I want him and Kendrick Lamar to do a song. That'll be the head song, because Kendrick grew up in Compton too.
Okay.
You have okay. Well, shit. Okay, yeah, I'm a bit impressed. I won't lie to you. You're just throwing RZA and Kendrick's name out there, like you go to the grocery store and pick them up.
No, but like I said, I've been doing this for you can see I've been I got a lot of contacts and stuff like that. But you got to come to these people right. You can't just come and say, "Hey man, can you do?" Like I said, when I come to people, I have everything kind of laid out. And I'm gonna have some bread.
Bread do a lot. It do a lot of moving.
And I don't know. Have you guys heard? And I'm sure you have. Have you heard the Deadline and the Hollywood Reporter and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm real close to getting an investor. So as soon as I get that investor, I'm going to do something with Deadline, man, because that's the gospel. You put something on Deadline and it'll be like a magnet. Everybody will come to you.
Deadline, variety. Real quick, this is the video game that Alan was talking about. This is the one.
Oh no, I remember. I remember that. I remember.
I wanted to show the people. I didn't remember because when I saw the trailer, I was thinking because I was thinking PlayStation 1 kind of like Bushido Blade. I don't know why I thought about that. A little bit of like Killer Instinct. Yeah. Killer Instinct. It reminded me of that.
Yes.
But then when Alan was talking, I was like, I didn't remember that Wu-Tang game, but I was like, is he talking about the Wu-Tang game or is he talking about Def Jam Vendetta, which they're remastering from what I hear?
Yeah.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
Alan, I don't. You can finish your statement, but I just wanted to ask, like, did you want to show some of the pages from the book, or after you finish your thought?
No, you could show them while we talk. We could flip through them. Just kind of show the audience.
Owen, finish your thought, and actually, let me real quick bring this back on screen so we could go through and finish that. And while I'm bringing it up, finish your thought about what you were saying.
Okay. Let me see. We talk about so much stuff. Like I said, like I would love for you guys.
Deadline. You were talking about Deadline.
Oh, Deadline. Yeah. No. So I was saying, like if you get a story in Deadline and it's the Gospels. It's like the Gospels. People will call you, and so. Once I move to this next level, and about the film, I'm going to put something in Deadline, but I'm going to mention the Kickstarter. Tell them they could get a free issue of the comic book, or if they want to, see more about the project, I'm gonna kind of try to tie that, using that power of Deadline to get more notice with the Kickstarter. But what I wanted you, okay, you see the trailer number, I think it's number 2, because I can't, let me see, what does number 2 say?
You have the pitch deck, you have the explainer trailer, video game demo, and then Black Salt landing page. So this is the actual, this is your actual web page right here, right?
Oh, okay, so I don't have the, I thought I had the trailer for the mini feature, but I don't. Okay, I wanted you to look at that, but But I thought I had that on there.
If you send us a link, we'll probably put it in the show notes.
Okay.
So don't worry about that.
Okay, so my landing page, I'm using that to give them the free issue 4, so I can get their email, because I'm trying to build a backers list right now. I'm trying to build a backers list with that.
Okay.
So these clips at the bottom, these are actually shots from the movie itself?
Yep. That's shots from the mini feature. Yes.
Okay. That's cool.
kind of reminds me when you're saying mini feature and whatnot. It reminds me of when Machinima was doing their Mortal Kombat series, and eventually that was supposed to lead into something bigger. And they did like, what was it like? It was like 6 or no, it was like 10, 12, 10 like 10-minute long episodes.
Okay.
And they were using that to build up interest, and that was eventually going to turn in to a project because they had
Michael Jai White was in that.
Michael Jai White, it's not Meg Ryan, but she was the woman. She played 6 on Star Trek Voyager.
Yes.
Her husband was the senator that eventually stepped down. A little bit of trivia, a little bit of information. Her husband was a senator that eventually had to step down, which paved the way for Barack Obama to become a senator. That's who Barack Obama took. That's the senator spot. That's the position he took. Jerry Ryan, that's her name. Jerry Ryan.
Okay.
Yep. So that's kind of what this reminds me of. And when you mention that's what it reminds me of is those old Machinima episodes of Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna pull up some pages from the book. This right here has been hella fun. I didn't expect all this shit.
And you know what? I actually got some of the new pages for 5 that Freddie did already. You know.
Okay. I would like to see when you're finished. I want you to send me those because I'm really interested in.
You know what I like you guys to do? Because see, man, one thing about me, I don't have no ego, and you can't hurt my feelings because I want it to be the best. You know, it's like 1 through 4. If you guys tore them things up, I would love you for that.
Oh, if you want somebody to tear your shit, never mind.
No, but because like I said, I'm gonna redo it.
We won't say he who won't be mentioned.
No, I don't. Like I said, because I already knew, you know, just before you guys even knew, that's the plan.
Yeah, that's good. As I was telling you before, any creator that put out a product, get better, they've elevated themselves, and they have the means and they see the point in going back and changing stuff to make it better. My hat, I tip my hat to them. That is always, I admire that. I admire someone who is always looking to remaster and not remaster in the nitpicking way where it was good where it was. Why are you messing with it? But going back and fixing stuff, especially when you can see the jarring difference between their old work and their new work, So yeah.
And that is something we do. Hats off. I mean, even when we were talking to you off camera, I mean, you're taking us, like you said, you're not thin-skinned, and some of, man, this season of the show is different, and I like how it's going because we're in a position to tell people, like, when you make a product for public consumption, you don't get to control how people see it and view it. And it's like, if you're not ready, if all you want is praise, you don't need to do anything public because that's not how reality works.
They're gonna tear you up.
And that's why we really enjoyed our conversation with Edward Brown join this one. Guys are like, no, we understand what review is as long as it's honest and fair. Like, we get it. I mean, and a lot of times people don't. They think everything is great, fine, and dandy, and it's like that's not true. Or the only type of review we could do is if it's positive, and I'm like, that's disingenuous.
Yes.
There ain't no way in hell every black indie is superbly great, but they're also not superbly bad either, except one book. That book, I won't even mention that one. That one just purely irritates me. But it's like that's what we're trying to do. We want to see you get better. That's why we did reviews, is we want to see people get better. We want to be able to point out some things you may not have noticed, but your fans probably did. Yeah. And if all you want to hear is praise, we all think
in the wrong industry, man. Because when Freddie said, he said, man, I like the story. He said, but the art is a little dated. And I said, I know. And that's what
and speaking of Mortal Kombat, that's kind of also what it reminds me of, is that 90s Mortal Kombat series when they first made that comic in the mid 90s that somehow got popular again as like $100 for the first issue.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it was semblant of, So, but man, we appreciate you you know, just being open, man.
I mean, I appreciate you guys because just listen, you know, when I listen to with Edward, I can say, okay, I know these guys, they're not gonna sugarcoat nothing. Let me call them because like I said, out of all of the, you know, the video game, the comic book, the movies, I would say the comic book side of it is not my forte.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And had I known a little more back then, I wouldn't have got that artist. You follow me?
Yeah.
But to me, it was okay. You know, it was okay. But I'll never do that again. See, I learned the lesson from that.
And sometimes
I have a case where even though I am the creator, I still lean on someone who is my art director, and I have to kind of trust him when he says, "Do not use this artist. Do not use this colorist." Sometimes we fight because as the project becomes better, I'm starting to price myself out of creating comic books because I cannot afford to keep at the level, the quality that the book is becoming. So, you know, it's those sort of things that people don't kind of understand. It's like you get what you pay for when it comes to comic book creation. Yeah. So when you see a book and it is stellar, that's cost. When you see an artist and he tells you a certain price and it's low, don't expect miracles. You know what I mean? So those are sort of things that people kind of have to, you know, understand and stuff. So it is a money game when it comes to comic books, you know, and trying to keep of a certain level, certain quality. Those things are what the public gravitate towards.
But you want to hear something interesting? So this guy who did the drawings, the artist, he got a lot better. I mean, I just saw some of his work maybe not too long ago, and I mean, completely.
If you said you got this done in 2016,
no, let me see. No. 16 was the mini feature. What was the proof of concept?
I think he said this was 2012.
Yeah, that was 12.
Well, therefore he should be. And if he's still in comic books,
oh, he's on. Yeah, man. Matter of fact,
he should be headed.
I just saw a cover he did maybe 2 weeks ago. I was like, wow. I mean, it was on fire.
I like, but what Alan is saying is like, if you were doing this in 2012, here it is, it's 2026, it's 14 years later. If you aren't any better, then what are you doing? You know, even like if you go back, I mean, and Jim Lee was talented from the get-go, but look at Jim Lee's early artwork versus now. And people, I mean, because this episode's going about an hour and 38, just want people to understand it. But people, we want you to understand, especially black comic book fans can definitely tell when art has gotten better over the years and when it has digressed. I mean, look at what they say about Frank Miller's stuff now versus what he drew in the 80s. They're like, he's worse now. People say the same thing about like John Romita Jr. Like, and this goes back to kind of that whole thin skin thing. If people say this about people that are legends, do you not think they won't say it about you? And if you're not prepared for that, what the hell are you doing? Even now, like what has made this season of doing this show much more fun is that me and Alan have gotten better. We still make mistakes, but we're better now than we were in the first season of the show. And that's what makes it fun. Despite personal challenges, it's been funner this time around because we have a much clearer vision of what we're trying to do. So
that makes sense. But yeah, man, I would love for you guys to tear, you know, because it's just, you know, because once we finished 5 and 6, and, you know, and if you look at the covers that Frederick just did for me, some of the covers, if you go on the Kickstarter pre-launch page, you'll see some of the covers that Frederick just did for me. And see if you can see some of the difference on the pre-launch page.
Yeah. When you get it all remastered, we want you to come back on so we can really discuss the difference. Because something else people don't realize is that we did set like an age limit for books that we would review, because obviously a book done 15, 20 years ago, it's like, it's not fair to kind of review that with today's lens. That's like a different type of article. That's more like a a retrospective thing, but it wouldn't be necessarily we would review it. So I think we set our limit for like within like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, because like you said, this is what this artist did in 2012. It's 14 years later. It's like I can't really review and judge that because that person is not the same. Hopefully, they are not the same person they were 14 years ago.
Yes.
So, but let's get into some more of these pages.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Alan selected these pages. So, Alan, tell us why you selected these.
Okay, so I was kind of selecting pages that didn't want to spoil the story too much. Just here, we kind of just also to give the audience a little bit of what they're getting into. This is the villain. This is when we're introduced to the villain in the beginning, and also this would have been our introduction to the book. So at this point, when I was reading the book, you were now getting sucked into it, the time frame and that kind of stuff. So you did mention he's a Chinese Shaolin master, or is he going to change?
No, Kali, yeah. Kali was a master, yes.
But is he going to change? We were talking about updating some of this stuff. Are you going to change him now?
No. He's really not going to change because, like I said, that's the bad guy. Yes.
Okay. Cool. So you could go through raw, yeah. And this is another part here. This is the world building, beautiful world building set in so this gives you a different tone from the older setting back in China. Modern. This is in America, right?
Yes.
Right, modern America, and the stuff behind the heist and stuff. So this is the kind of stuff that when you see the change between the comic and the movie, is it going to be the exact story beat for beat, or are you going to change it up?
No, it's already changes. It's already, because in the movie, it takes place in Japan. Okay. Remember how I told you him and his mother went to China?
Right.
Now him and his mother goes to Japan. The Yakuza is the one that kills the mother.
Okay, gotcha. That's right. So okay, good, yeah.
Yes.
But it still has the same Shaolin element.
Because it just so happened that Shaolin master was in Japan.
Okay, gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? Yes.
Right. All right.
And something I want people to understand is like when comics are translated into film, whatever, there are always things that don't necessarily translate in transition. So that's something that I want people to be aware of also. All right. Let's hit this next page.
All right.
Okay. So this is still in the past. So
right. So let's go back. Hey, you could go back to it. We could explain it. So go back to the page with the two guys with the blood, right? So when I was reading this here, did he write his name in blood? Was that the intention?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Because that's just how sinister he was. Because what he didn't like, what he didn't like is Shaolin trained us to be killers. And you guys walking around just all of this, Mary, Hail Mary, and all of this. He said, no, we need to take over the world. Okay. The skills that we had.
I went back to this because I want people to know this page and this page are part of the same part of the story. This is all in the beginning of the first issue. Then it transitions to this page.
Yeah, so, kind of giving you the backstory and everything like that, and
Yeah. This is all the past. That's the issue 1 starts with, and then it goes to here the present.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. That's which one is that? Is that the cover to issue 2, or is that the cover to issue 1?
Yes.
So you're redoing all of these covers and everything.
Okay. Well, see, when I go back and redo those, it's going into the graphic novel.
Oh, so there'll be no cover. There'll be no chapter.
What I may do is just go ahead and do them just to have them. But my whole idea is just 1 through 4.
One big graphic novel.
6 issues will all be combined into the graphic novel.
What you can do is with these covers, because they do this, especially since it's a hardcover, you could add these in at the end as like variant covers. They
Yes,
they,
artwork.
they definitely do that. Now,
Yeah.
I want people to take a look. You can't see my cursor, but if you look at Agent Lee's ponytail, if you guys remember Image Comics from the 90s, that's very reminiscent of Wildcat. Sam, he's the brother here in the front. That is 100% very reminiscent of Rob Liefeld. And if you guys know anything about Rob Liefeld, he can't draw
No,
hands
I
or
like
feet.
you, yeah.
So it very reminiscent. I almost want to say the artist probably took inspiration, probably did. This probably is a Wildstorm cover or something they did, but definitely see that heavy influence there. All right, and then this is
okay. That's the animated series right there.
Oh, this is the animated series.
Yeah.
Okay. How is this coming along in terms of the development?
Okay, so remember I told you right now. So since that was the last thing that I had started to work on before my mother got sick, like I said, I have the pilot, and I have the 12, episode treatments. So that was kind of like and I'm actually redoing those characters too.
Okay. In terms of, when you said redoing the style, so you change
I'm redoing the style. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
okay. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, Robert Kirkman is one. He does a similar thing, and that's why some people were upset with Invincible, but Robert Kirkman just looked at it and like, okay, here's some things that I could have did better. Here's where I could have added a little bit more diversity. Here's where I could have changed this up, because by the time Invincible as a show, Invincible as a comic had been done probably almost 10 years. And so he's just like, huh?
A good set, yeah, good set.
Yeah. I mean, because it ended with issue 144, and I think that was like 2012, and the series didn't come out till like 2020-ish. So he's like, here's some things that I can change. That's why I can't even think of the lead character. What is it? Amber. That's why she ended up being black, because he's like, I didn't add enough black characters. So, and that was actually a question I was going to ask you, but let's get through these other pages and then I'll ask you, because we're reaching about an hour and 47. It's been fun, but we don't want to hold you up much longer. So this is the video game I think Alan was talking about. This is that video game page, right?
Okay, now that ended up changing. Okay, now that particular artist back then worked for Marvel.
Okay.
Because I wanted him to do it, but his wife or something, he had some family. His name was Dion, and you can see his style was a little different than the style of 1 and 2.
Right.
But this is the page for the video game, because I see rating pending there, and
yes.
Okay.
Which I end up changing everything, as because if you look at the one sheet, you see the video game cover, because the demo of the video game cover is on that one sheet. You can see a completely different.
Oh yeah, and that happens. I mean, if you just for a quick example, like GoldenEye, when GoldenEye was initially advertised, it was gonna have James. It was gonna have not just it's not Timothy. It's what the hell is his name? He was Pierce Bronson. It wasn't just going to be, it was going to be Pierce Bronson. You were going to be able to be Sean Connery and Roger Moore also. That didn't happen. Things change, licensing deals fall through. I mean, it's the same even with television and movie scripts. No script goes unchanged whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that's why they have writers' rooms. All right. Let's move to the last page here, and then we'll get into something else, and then eventually, wrap it up. Let's see. Oh no, that's just that cover.
Yeah.
Oh, right. You sent it to me twice, Alan.
Yeah, no problem. So that's, I think that's about it there for the artwork and stuff. I think that's it.
So I mean, because we're running late, but I mean, we got so much other great stuff. But what I was gonna ask, if you want to ask it, if not, it's all gravy. Or answer it if you don't want to answer, it's all gravy. What is the importance of creating Black characters to you?
Okay, so like I said, man, I got terribly upset, why I did this whole project is because we still, because they used to say that we couldn't sell overseas, which is a big lie. And tonight it's funny because tonight is going to be the Oscars and Michael B. Jordan is probably going to win, you know. So
Yeah.
I just got tired of, if it was black men, we were either dope dealers or we didn't take care of our kids.
Yeah.
See what I'm
That's
saying?
something that I've noticed in media also, like, because I just got through playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I didn't know that Barrett was actually intended, even in the original 97 game, he was always intended to be black and was intentionally black. But something that I've noticed is like, you could have a black character, but he has his mother. It's like, why do we not have a mother and a father when every black character every black person didn't come from a single parent household? And even if they did come from a single parent household, it wasn't always because the father was absent. Like for me, my father passed away when I was 14, and it didn't come from street violence. My father was a soldier. My father's death was service related, you know. And so that's something that I noticed. Like if you go to Final Fantasy 13, like, yeah, we got a black character. We see the Afro, he got a son, but it's like, where's his mom? You know, is it that hard for you to put those two things together? You know, so that's just one of those things that I've started to notice also. And then the other question that I had was, as a creator, how do you keep from being pigeonholed into making just black characters? Because, you know, just like white people aren't pigeonholed into just making white characters, like they got freedom to make whoever and whatever they want. How do you keep from being into that? Because people feel like, because it's, you know, you like Lavelle Crawford said, like he wanted to do a podcast about fishing and whatnot. He was like, why I gotta do a podcast about the struggle and saving black people? Why can't I do a podcast about fishing and shit that I like? You know, how do you keep from being pigeonholed into that?
Well, it's not that, but if we don't do it, it's not going to get done. That's just as much as we're discriminated. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, I mean, it's almost like we have to. You know, and not to say I wouldn't do because like the example, the first film that I did, Unstable Minds, it was a horror. You know, it wasn't black and you know all that, but I wanted to do a hero, and I wanted the hero to be black.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because I just, it's always that dope, or we got all these kids and we don't take care of them and all of that. It was just something personal with me.
Yeah.
It was just, but not to say that I wouldn't do, you know, because I have done some other things where it wasn't just black, but I just wanted to do my own hero.
Yeah. And I think that motivates a lot of black indie creators. I think for me, I don't want people to think that just because you black, you have to create a black character. You can 100% make a character and have a minimal description and let like what was it, Hermione Granger? Like if you ever look at J.K. Rowling's description for her, it doesn't say that she's white at all. Because I remember when there was a dust up when they did a play and people were mad that a black woman was cast, and J.K. Rowling said, "This is my character description," you know. But that's the reason why I asked it, because I, as a creator, you should be able to, you should have the same freedom to make whoever and whatever like everybody else does. Why? Just because like if you've ever read Alan's stories, have a diverse cast of characters. You have a lead female Chinese character in your book, you know, you should feel free to have that freedom to do that. And that's what I'm getting at, people, is I don't want creators. I want to, because I mean, I don't create comic, so I don't want creators to feel like you have to take up the mantle of making black characters that deal with the struggle. You should have the freedom to do whatever, because everybody else gets to. Why do you feel the only characters and stories we tell got to deal with the struggle, got to deal with saving us? Yes, if we don't make black characters, a lot of people won't, but we should also have the freedom to, like, if you want to make a Chinese character, why the hell can't you make a damn Chinese character and make that the lead? The woman who did Gachi Akuda, that anime and manga, she has legit black characters in there. Ain't nobody tell her she couldn't make that shit. You know what I mean? So if you want to make fucking, I don't know, Mexican alien Avatar, why can't you do that? Why do other people get to do that type of shit? And you know, like speaking of Avatar, like that's created by them two dudes who created Avatar are not Asian. I think they're Italian.
Okay.
They definitely They definitely lighter than me and richer by far. I'd love to be on their payroll. I'll stop doing this shit in a heartbeat.
And you know, like Black Salt, I got Asian. Well, I got Chinese, Japanese, Russians. You know, so I still made.
So I noticed that.
I still made it multi. You know, see, that's why when they said make it Japanese, I said, oh yeah, I could add another. I could add the Japanese in there, and then that Yakuza just opens up a whole new.
Absolutely.
New
and then something else, creators, when y'all are doing these, this is just something funny for me. When y'all are doing these like secret black ops groups, just my question: do they only recruit white people? Like only white people get to be these evil secret black ops groups? Like, listen, we believe in speaking freely here. So did no niggas apply to this position? You couldn't find out what? Did they not fit the specs ops goggles or none of that? Did they as much basketball and football and baseball and where Allen is rugby and cricket that we play? We ain't fit none of the physical requirements. All of the evil black ops military folk is all white. They getting paid good money to be pieces of shit people with guns. And the last time I seen evil black special ops, Todd McFarlane did it because he has an origin book that talks about how Spawn got killed, like that group he was a part of.
Yeah.
Back, in them early Image days. I have it somewhere. The guy that killed him Al Simmons was black. That's like last time I seen it. And it's something that I noticed. I mean, it's a trope, but I noticed a lot of black indie creators do it. It's like all of these black ops groups are black ops with white people. That's an interesting dichotomy. It can't be black ops with black people, black ops with brown people. Like we got to make white ops with black people. That way we have perfect synergy or some shit. But man, this has been fun. I do got some stuff. We are at the section of the show where me and Alan, we decided we're gonna start trying to plug our shit because that's something we don't really do is advertise our own stuff. So I'm gonna bring up on screen. I'm gonna bring up my Substack. I'm gonna bring up Alan's Instagram page so the people that watch the show, you can follow us, like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Because it's something we generally don't do, but like I said, we're trying to get better, do some different things, and offer some different value. So this is Alan's Instagram, and I'll let my my cohort tell us what we need to know.
Yeah, so if you want to follow me, I'm going to be posting the information about my books on here. The Nasal Verse, I have to update it. I have a new book coming this summer. So look out for a Kickstarter from me in December. I'm going to post more stuff on this page, but this is where you can reach out to me, ask me any questions. My books are at wiseacrecomics.usa in the store section. And, if you want to, you could DM me. I could send you a link, and that's everything there. Ron, you can share your Substack.
Gotcha. I'm on it. As soon as I figure out how to really, I'm getting better at navigating this shit too. Let's see here. Boom. As soon as I figure out how to streamline this shit, it's gonna be game over for people. All right, folks. So this is my Substack. This is where my review.
You're not seeing it. We're not seeing it.
Oh, we're not seeing it. See, told you, you still fuck up. Let's see here. Boom. There we go. So this is my Substack. You can see my last review was Koakungi. I've kind of stepped away from reviews. I like to do a lot of op-ed pieces. So here's some of my op-ed pieces. Let That Black Woman Write. Somebody pointed out to me that I didn't put the N in unhinged, but I said, what? Stylistically, I'm just going to leave it there. I kind of like it. Like I said, you can see all my different Substacks, my thoughts on AI, some of my other reviews. This is a little bit of everything. Like I said, I've stepped away from reviews. I'm moving more into op-ed pieces, but feel free to like, subscribe, follow, and all that fun stuff. And then I think we said in the beginning of the show, feel free to DM me and Alan directly. If you've got a Kickstarter or something that you think may be interesting, whatever, we'll take a look at it. It's the same even with the show. People ask, how are we going to show? DM us directly. And then we'll, if we're interested, we'll get back to you and try to work something out. Also, send, like, if you've got multiple issues, send us like the first 2 issues of your story. That way we could get, you know, a good sample of the work, and yet still leave stuff for mystery. Also send us high resolution copies, so in case we need to blow it up on screen, we can see it. Also, send us a picture of yourself with your work, so that when the thumbnail, whatever, so that we can associate you with your work. Other than that, man, any closing remarks from anybody? Alan, you got anything for us?
No, this.
That's those $1 million deals. That's probably RZA calling them.
Nah. You know, man, I would like to work. You know, if we could do some other stuff like Alan. You know, if you need some, you know, kind of going.
I would. Yeah, I would talk to you. I would definitely reach out to you.
You know, if you want to, you know, I'd like to talk to you some more. You know, if we could all.
I like to pick your brain about some ideas I have and stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Owen Ratliff, for coming on. Kickstarter is coming up in what month? When?
You know what? I would say in the next 60 days, I'm going to
Kickstarter.
What I wanted to try to do is at least get the first 10 pages. Let Freddie and them get the, you know, the first 10 pages. But like I said, what I really would like to do, because I see how you guys are, I want you to tear that 1 through 4, but I want you. I like the 4 and 5 script. I mean, for 5 and 6.
Okay.
You know, and you know, and then like I said, man, you know, like maybe your character, maybe I could add her to the video game or something as I move forward. You know, because me and my partner in this video game, we fell out. Like when my mother got sick, he did some shady shit. So I'm gonna change some of the characters. You know.
Okay. Real quick, I know you've mentioned your mother got sick, and you told us why off camera. We don't have to say on camera, but I did want to ask, as somebody who goes and sees a therapist like once a month, how are you personally doing? I know you said it was a couple years ago, but how are you personally doing?
I'm doing better, man. It was, you know, because here again, like I had some great parents. You know, here again, like we can't have good parents either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, my mother, you know, like when I was born with club feet. You know, I sat on my legs, so I was crippled. She fixed them. I mean, what 20-year-old would even have the aptitude to do, you know, and not knocking the average 20-year-old, but my mother was just amazing. You know, she and you probably never heard of this actress because, you know, like I said, you're younger than I was. I don't know if you Alan, you ever heard of a comedian actress? Her name was Phyllis Diller.
Yeah, I heard of Phyllis Diller. Oh, okay, she did a. I know who Phyllis Diller was, but she also did she did a voice on Family Guy.
Okay. So my mother ran one of her companies.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was. It's funny, man, because when I was living in Compton, she came to my birthday party. You know, I was like in the 3rd grade, man, limousine and everything. You know, like I said, so yeah. I had got exposed to a lot of those, but I just had a great mother. You just sometimes I think they just dog us, you know, all this. So that's why I kind of took it personal when I just kept seeing no father, no mother, don't take, you know, I just felt I had to do this, to bring this
and that's
out.
why well, I said this episode's going long, but I do want to speak. That's why Woman from Good Times, when she was cast, she's like, "Where's the father?" I cannot remember what her name was, but that's why John Amos got on the show.
Okay.
Because she was like, "Where is their father at?" You know, that was one of the things she.
That was her prerequisite.
That was one, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was one of her things. And then I also ask about like how you're doing, because, you know, I had a friend pass away in November, and it's crazy because Instagram has actually sent me notifications saying he sent me a message, and I'm like, I know damn well the last message that was sent between me and him was from me to him, but I still go and check, and it's just like, I know I'm not gonna hear from him again. And then my brother, my best friend, he's like my brother, his brother had actually just passed away in October, and he was just telling me like 2 days ago, he said it was hard.
It was very hard.
He was at his brother's grave, and he said it was hard for him.
And you know, it was so like my parents are buried right around the corner, and a friend of mine that's in the in the nation you know, because when I used to go over there, I'd be sad. Like I go and sit and you know, just talk to him and stuff. But I always came home crying. And he said, man, you don't necessarily have to go. He said, just think of the good memories. Because I still got a lot of their pictures up in the house. And I had to stop going for a while, man, because like, should I feel like that every time I go? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And we don't want to get too deep, but I will say you have a right to cry. I mean, those people meant something to you. But let's go ahead and end this. I do want to say we want to invite you back for another show, and I know we've got some ideas. I know Alan has an idea for a show where he wants to get creators on, and they could talk about the economics and the pitfalls of comic book creation, not just comic book creation, but the economics of comic book creation. And I know one of the other things I want to do is I'll just say one of the ideas is like I want to do a show about AI and have people that are for it, people that are against it, some people that are in the middle, and you know, let people state their case, have a respectful roundtable discussion. So
and you know, I think you should have one about Kickstarter too. I think that's important.
That's an Allen show.
Yes.
That's an Allen.
Okay, because like I said, you know, we as Black people need to, because it's funny because you know, me and Frederick was just talking, and he's blown away that I have 664 followers. Like he don't even.
That's
like,
crazy.
You know, but I'm just like, I didn't set a date. Like it's taken me maybe 8 months. You know, because I'm not saying okay, I'm gonna launch in 2 months. Like the marketing is. Huh?
Let's save all that for that episode.
Okay.
That's some good information, and y'all can. I'll talk with Alan about when he wants to do that episode, and we'll let y'all go in depth. I'll chime in when I can, but I know that's something Alan's passionate about, so that people understand. So, as they said, as Samuel Jackson said in The Great White Hype, save some for later. All right, y'all. This has been fun. Everybody, take it easy. Be blessed.
Okay.
Thank you.
You guys